So you suck at Hearts of Iron 4, or as I like to say, you're an average HOI4 player. That's okay. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to pull off Sealion in a way that's super simple.
Should pale death with treble dread make the Ocean caves our bed, God who hears the surges roll, deign to save the suppliant soul.
Now, many people who've struggled in the past to make this crossing have found it even more difficult thanks to a change in the latest update. That change being that the British keep a lot more people on the home island than they did before. So, in the past, if long as you made it to the beaches, you could storm the whole thing. Now, getting to the land, getting down south isn't a guarantor of success. But I'm going to show you a way to do it that requires designing 0 new ships. It requires changing no divisions. It requires changing no airplanes. You can do all this with the plain base vanilla equipment that's available to you in game. First, let's look at our focus. Now, since you suck at the game, we're not going to be doing the 4-year plans. The 4-year plan revolves around a lot of micromanaging of the MIFO bills and these escalating costs to keep them beneficial to your economy. So we're not going to do that. First focus we're going to do is prioritize economic growth. Now, this is going to finish. You'll have, as you see there, a 40% consumer goods factory factor. Say that 5 times fast. 40%. But then when that finishes, it's actually going to go up to 90%. But we can get that number down super quick. As for research, just your standard, we're going to do production, electronics. I know what I normally do would be to research modules for ships and tanks, etc. that I'm going to be doing, but I'm not going to do that for the sake of this playthrough, just to show you how you can do it with even the most simple of setups. Besides, if you suck, maybe you're building bad divisions. So I'll use this 4 slot to upgrade my artillery. Okay, construction. To get across the English Channel, we're going to need ships. So any time in this playthrough where you have 80% or more infrastructure on a coastal tile, we're going to be building some naval dockyards. And then when we're not building naval dockyards, we're going to be building civilian factories anywhere we have good infrastructure. For Germany, I like a number of 75 civilian factories. That number, why? Because it's divisible by 15 and I'm autistic and that's easy. But there are some legitimate reasons. I'll use 15 factories to trade for oil, 15 factories to make repairs, 15 factories will be needed for consumer goods, and then the rest of the 30 you can use to build more factories. Okay, production. As a Germany game, I always recommend at least 1 factory on civilian trains, because eventually when you get started getting logi bombed, you'll have a deficit and it'll hurt your logistics. Other equipment we will use, if this was a normal game, I throw on AA, but I'm not going to change in the templates, so I'm not going to be putting on any anti-air. So I might up how much support equipment, artillery I have, maybe a little bit more on the tanks, and then as we get more factories, we'll prioritize fighters and CAS. Now, there is special projects. We can do these. These will be irrelevant to your run. So do whatever you like here. Like I said, I'm not going to change any of the templates, so most of this is mute. Then for our army, we come with a decently sized army. Let's put these panzers in another division. I'm going to have a total of 16 panzer divisions, mainly because I usually do 8, and I would double the size of this template. Since we're not doing that, might as well double what I normally build and do 16. Okay, we have 27 divisions. So the total infantry you're going to need, and they are all going to be on the same template, is we're going to want 5 stacks of 24. And they're all going to be the standard infantry template. Won't have to train that many. We're going to get a lot of troops and factories from Austria. But for now, we're just going to queue up a bunch of infantry. Last thing before you start your game, go ahead, take the Navy, and put them on naval exercises. That way we can get the churning naval XP. When that gets up to 35, we'll go ahead and throw on our Spirit of our Navy to be naval reform, just to buff that up. That'll help us get a decent bit of doctrine before the war starts. With our initial setup then, let's go. Okay, we've prioritized economic growth. We have the MIFO bill repayment, and then our economy's really going to tank. Before we go about fixing that, however, we're going to rush over here back to remilitarize the Rhineland, and then we're going to be following this path to Vierge-Prinzip, and then we are going to choose one of these two advisors for the buff and political power. Okay, here's where we pick our advisors, and there's a little bit of a strategy you want for this inner circle. Once you pick one, you have to wait 175 days before you can do the other. So it's nice to do these early if you want all three of them to max out their focus trees. You're actually only going to pick one of these first ones, and then they'll go ahead by themselves and do the other focuses. Now, my recommendation is to use either Hess or Bormann, because these advisors get incredibly expensive when it comes to political power gain. So you can see over here where it says, daily political power gain is -1. And I think as they go down here, once they finish it, they're going to even charge more. For Hess or Bormann, I prefer Hess because he has Rally Industries, which helps your military industrial organizations research things faster, which means you have better equipment. I do this side first because this is political power. Then we're going to go over here to the industrial side. And then lastly, we will pick the cringe lord, edgelord himself, Himmler. Also, you'll note we've paid off our MIFO bills, and now we have the spirit of recovering economy. So that puts us at it's a huge nerf on our economy. So one thing you can do early is appoint this economic reformer advisor. He's going to help get that number down. So right now you can see I have 20 total factories that need to go to civilian goods. Combined effect is 158%. If I slap him on, that lessens the blow a little bit. Now it's to 134%. But we'll be fixing our economy shortly. These events are new for Austria. They're going to come up. You'll want to do the ones that, they'll not lose us that easy. This just makes doing the Anschluss a little bit easier. You'll have plenty of political power. Don't worry. Okay, let's go ahead and fix our economy some more. So next what we're going to do is currency reforms, because that lowers the consumer goods factor. Then we'll do lower taxes, and then lastly abolish price controls. So that's 45%. It's going to repair that factor by. So that makes it a lot more. Well, it'd be 30% is a lot more easy to manage than 75. And then also you'll see our Navy XP's there. So let's go ahead and slap on naval reform. And then as units get done, we can let them deploy. As you get naval dockyards available, again, I'm making this super simple. This is a suboptimal strat, but I want to make a point here of how easy it still can be to cross the English Channel. So we're just going to finish out the initial production queue. Okay, we're just repairing the economy a little more. I have some political power here stowed up. So I'm going to go ahead and throw on to Albert Kessering. The naval advisor and the army advisor are going to be people I want who are locked behind focuses. Okay, price controls are abolished. Our recovering economy is doing a lot better. You can see before it was like in 150s factors when they're multiplied. Now it's only about 95%. So a lot better. And you can see we're really starting to cruise along here with the construction. Now, once the 175 days or so finishes, we got to wait 70 days. I will be going for one of these, but in the meantime, I'd like to get Dunits on my Marine, so I'm going to go to these naval focuses. And right here you can see there's 2 dockyards there, and I think there's another 2 there, so we can get up to 4 real quick. Okay, next we'll do trader interdiction, and then that will get us access to Dunits. Okay, with that done, we can hire Dunits, and it gets that 0.4 naval XP daily. We'll go ahead and grab that. Now enough time has passed where we can go ahead and appoint the next member of our inner circle. Now, I said next you want to do the economy. So you can see, Tot, he gives faster construction of infrastructure and civilian factories. Then he'll help with research speed and more infrastructure and military. And then lastly, he helps with more military at the end there. and modifies how many you can put in a state. If you're playing this and you're doing long-term game, Gearing will be pretty good late game just because he allows you to get the most out of the factories you already have. Spear's not bad as well. He helps more with like just generic building output. He's kind of a balance between Toad and Gearing, but I'm going to go with Toad. Okay, that's done. We're going to go and cruise on over back. Let's go ahead and get those extra dockyards with Cruiser Warfare. With Cruiser Warfare out of the way, we're going to go over to develop Modern Warfare so we can get Braukich, and he will allow us to get him as an advisor to help Army Speed. Okay, we have plenty of political power. We'll go ahead and appoint Von Braukich, and then in our economic decisions, we can also do these development. They only use 3 civilian factories, but they add a nice local construction speed. So we'll start knocking these out as we go. The other decision we have, and I forgot to mention this, is since we've done Cruiser Warfare, we get this decision to refit merchant ships to merchant raiders. These are pretty poor ships, but they are going to add to total marine strength, which when it comes to Operation Sealion, we just need to hit critical mass so we can cross over. So as frequently as you can, hit that button, which basically is every 25 days. Okay, let's go back to working on our economy. We're going to construct the Autobahn because we almost have 50 civilian factories to get ourselves another research slot. The Autobahn is up. This time, once you get 50 air experience, I recommend doing Branch Independent Spirit. Just helps you max out your air doctrine quicker. And since we have the air reformer, really that's going to be a nice buff with Kessel Ring. Yeah, so that puts us at 0.4 plus 10, 0.44. Not bad. Okay, we have our 5th research slot. So now we have time to go back down and get our last advisor. Now we're going to do Himmler. And once this event finishes for him, it's going to ask you, do you want him to focus on intel, or do you want, or it's going to say, do you want him to focus on the Gestapo, or do you want him to focus on the SS? Now, because you suck at this game, we're going to do focus on improving our intelligence. Normally, though, if you didn't suck, you probably want to do expanding the SS. If you have him head up the SS, you're going to get boost to compliance, able to suppress resistance better in occupied territories, which if you're Germany, you're going to have quite a few of those. And then also non-core manpower, which is huge. Having them focus on intelligence helps with your intelligence agency. So more operatives, cheaper upgrades. We're going to go ahead and do that because we're going to need an intel advantage going forward as we go against the British. Now, I have a decent sized economy here. I'm going to keep building civilian factories, but I have enough now to where I can go to my intelligence agency and create it. So while that's being created, I'm going to continue to focus on my economy, expanding the Autobahn, and then we'll go down here on some of these other ones to fix the economy. And then once that's fixed enough, then we'll start pushing towards World War II. Okay, now that our agency is built, my recommendation for how you upgrade your agency is to first go to localized training centers. That's going to allow you to recruit British operatives, which are helpful if you don't want to keep pulling operatives away from missions to rescue other operatives. Then next, I would recommend suicide pills because they reduce your chance of getting caught. And then we're going to go down here and get all of the encryption and decryption we can. Going to go decryption first because we want those ciphers cracked by the time World War II kicks off. Then encryption, and then also sometime in between now and then, we need to get the Naval Department and hopefully the air as well. Okay, this is an event you'll get that pops up every now and again. Both of these are somewhat relevant and important. So let's focus this one first. So Tot's industrial plan questioned. This is going to pop up, and it's basically a chance for you to say, okay, I changed my mind. I actually want to do a different advisor. Why would you do this? You're like, oh, I just wasted all this time. Well, I mean, say you're doing Tot, and I'm just about finished constructing all the civilian factories that I'm going to need. I don't really need his bonuses to, you know, civilian and infrastructure construction. So maybe at this time I say, okay, you know, I want to go with Hermann or Spear. Oh, actually, I forgot to tell you, if you don't do Mifo builds, you can't get Gehring anyway. So that's why he's not an option here. But essentially, if you are okay with him completing this one and locking you out of doing the other guys, you just say he's got the full trust of the Fiaha. Now, if you get this event, that basically means it's time to Anschluss. So we are about to wrap up all I want to do on the economy side. So we'll start working on our political side next. So a wonderful idea, and it lowers the requirements. Okay, I've reached the point now where I've just about finished my initial queue of ships. Now I have 3 dockyards. So I am going to need a little bit more capital ship strength to cross the English Channel. So again, is this what you should do in a game? No. You should upgrade these ships and build better ones, and probably not do most of the ones that you start out with. But I'm doing this to show you that it can be done even by the most novice of players. So what am I going to do? I'm going to build 2 Scharnhorst classes, and then we'll do 4 heavy cruisers. Capital ships take a while to build, so go ahead and divert most of your production towards those capital ships. And you can see, as of now, these guys should be done before World War II starts. Okay, that's finished. We should be good now to Anschluss if we want. Yes. So we're going to go do the next focus, and then we can do the Anschluss. Now, you get 2 options here. Again, there's the historical path to reorganize the Wehrmacht, and then there's this other one, Heed von der Ras concerns. I don't actually know much about him, so I couldn't tell you a historical fact. But I know what matters to me when I look. And if I look at reorganize the Wehrmacht, you see that supply range -10. If you go over to heed his concerns, you see that supply range. The supply range debuff is not there. In this game, at least in my opinion, supply is almost as important as anything else. There's a reason you always get stuck in the Soviet Union. It's supply range. There's also some nice, if you look at there, you get war preparations, which improve your supply range. So there's a 20% swing from going this side to this side in terms of supply. Now, as far as which one of these sides you choose, it really doesn't matter for the sake of Operation Sealion, but this side will be immensely more convenient when you're going to push the Soviet Union. The other thing, make sure you're remembering it, to keep building dockyards anytime you get a good amount there. Because again, we're going to need as much tonnage on the ocean as we can. Okay, we're here. We're ready to do the Anschluss. A couple things. As your spy network builds up strength, one thing we're going to want to do is to go to our operations, and we're going to infiltrate the Navy. I know I only have 2 operatives at this point. Probably could do something over here to get another one. Yeah, might as well. Sure, we'll get the chief of the Abwehr. So get one more. But we're going to go and do this infiltrate Navy, because when you try to do a naval invasion, you have to get over 50% of naval supremacy. One of the factors that impacts naval supremacy is your intelligence. So if you don't know much about the enemy's navy capacities, I mean, you could very well have a bigger navy than them, but you get a penalty. So you'll see it a lot of times. They'll say supremacy is scaled to 30% because of poor intel. So we don't want our very limited navy to get scaled back any further than it could. The other thing you'll want to do is, now that we're in 38, we are actually going to rush one technology. And this is one you need because of the new update. On your naval support, go ahead now and start researching landing aircraft. Or sorry, no, just landing craft. The big reason for this is it buffs your naval invasion capacity to up to 30 units. And we're going to need all those units, because one of them's got to break and get landfall and be a distraction for the other troops. Okay, Anschluss done. How can anyone say Austria is now German? Now let's check our factory count. So I'm up to 79 civilian factories. So we'll finish off these two since we already started. And once you've gotten the total of civilian factories, now we're going to move to synthetic refineries. And again, I've been able to build up an army of almost 800,000 people, you know, without very much deviation from the initial production queue. The other thing we're going to do is just to see how we're progressing on building out this army. Like I said, you're going to want a total of 5 armies of 24. You can go more if you want. It doesn't matter. But to keep it nice and simple, all you'll need is 5. So we have all of those Austrian troops. We'll convert them to our normal division. So I need then roughly 1 more stack of 24 and then one stack of 17. So I'll queue them in production. So we'll be ready to go for World War II. We also have a few spare factories left over from that. So in this situation, I'm just going to get light tanks up to that nice 5 number, and then next we will work on basic small airframes, more CAS, more medium. Hence why these synthetic refineries are going to be important. Now, one benefit is when we did do our focus industrial expansion, it did modify how much we get out of those synthetic refineries and how quickly we can build them. Next, let's go ahead and straight up demand Sudetenland. Okay, Sudetenland is ours. We're going to go ahead and wrap up these 2 focuses, and then we'll have our borders for when we push Poland. Okay, so when you do Fadist Czechoslovakia, you get 3 options. Part of me always likes to give Hungary all that land. I don't know why. I just like making Hungarians happy. The other option is just taking all of Czechoslovakia, but the best option really is to set up Slovakia as a puppet state, because right there at the bottom of the description, set compliance by 50%, which means this area here, which has the gross majority of Czechoslovakian industry. You can see there's a little bit over here, but not much. Since your compliance is already up that high, you're going to get access to a lot more than that. So yeah, local resources, and then we're almost up to recruitable population factor. Since they're already that high, just go ahead and set them to civilian oversight. Also, I've noticed something when doing these conversions is it says it's going to take 20 convoys and 10 naval XP to do. I did that. Nothing happened to my naval XP. And I had 200 convoys before that, so I don't think this works. You get the boat still. Now, let's do our last territorial claim. We'll reassert Eastern claims, and then we'll tidy up the army in preparation for World War II. Okay, we've taken Memel. As you wrap up those extra capital ships you built, just throw the rest on destroyers and subs. That's about all you're going to need. Now, historically, Germany went to war against Poland in August of next year. So we're going to wait until then to finally go to war to be on track. Now, we got to do a couple other things before we're ready. One, we have a roaring economy. We just need to let it finish producing the equipment we need to go to war. But there's also a couple focuses over here that help our military a little bit. So I'm going to adopt a new Panzer doctrine, even though I'm not going to be really using that much tanks, mainly for the advisors that come with it. So we can go ahead and get the Blitzkrieg Theorists, and then some of the other ones down here. Okay, with our new Panzer doctrine and plenty of political power, let's go ahead and fill out our staff. So I like the Blitzkrieg Theorist. Then I also like the infantry expert, and then also logistics. For the last one, you could go a couple of ways. You can go Rommel. He helps with the panzer attack. That's great too. Again, though, I feel like the armor is more needed when you push into the Soviet Union, because really the divisions of the AI are so weak In 39, you don't necessarily need them. So lately, I've actually been going with this submarine expert because we do need to start wrecking the convoys of the British Navy, so they divert their fleet away from where we're trying to invade to go do convoy escort duty. So I'll go ahead and select him. A couple other things to do before. We're going to knock out these two Luftwaffe focuses just to boost it a little bit. And then after that, we're going to just kind of piddle around on these 35-day focuses. The one we can't forget is war preparations. We have to do that before we start going to war, or else we have to wait until the war's over to do it again. And it gives that supply range boost that we like. A couple other things that you might wonder is, how many of these refineries should I build? And honestly, it just depends. You want enough refineries to where when World War II kicks off, you're not importing any. We're at that stage, so I'm probably good. I find myself, because I'm going to be building a lot of air power here when I start cranking out the military factories, that I just want to have enough refineries to where it balances out my trade needs. That's about it. Now, some of this is a little mute because we're about to conquer all of the allies and we'll have plenty of rubber. But I'm preparing this game just in case, this is my recommendation. I feel like you might fail this. So if you do fail and you just want to keep playing your Germany game, at least you have the rubber and you're not screwed. Okay, it's March of 39. We're getting very close to tip off. I've recruited all of the divisions that I've said you'll need for this. So let's go ahead and get them into place and then start training them up to level 3. So you're going to want to have one division over here on the Maginot. You're going to have one division, whether you give them a all the same field officer or split them off as your call. One over here in Prussia. And then the last 3 are going to be on the western border of Poland. You can set a field marshal order. That works. We're not going to call Slovakia into this war, so then I just adjust there. We're also going to do something that I usually forget to do, and that is, while we're here, let's set a battle plan. Because the longer you sit with these battle plans, the better battle planning bonus you get. For those tank divisions, I'm going to split them in half. I'm not going to do training exercises for them because it just takes too long to train armored, and they usually get their XP up. We'll do spearheads with these armored divisions, so I'm going to go to Lutz, Warsaw, and Radom, and I'm probably botching all these names. For the other division, it doesn't really matter. Just pick a place with good supply and flat open roads. So how about Gleiswitz? And then I'll have you go to Krakow and then Lowell. Now, you'll see a lot of times it does that. Sometimes the game realizes you're trying to go to one spot and then the other, and then sometimes it can't tell if you're just trying to have them split out and go everywhere. If you right click it again, it will split the order. And then we'll go ahead and train them up. If you hold shift and click the training button, they're going to train till they're level 3 and then they'll stop so they don't waste your equipment. The other thing we'll want to do at this moment is to start setting who's going to be running these armies, because we need to spend that command power and then give it time to get back. It really doesn't matter. When we go to our spirit of the army, this is another thing. For army command, one thing I like to do for Germany when I play with them is I will usually, like say you're playing Italy, I like proper heritage because their generals are awful. But Germany's got some great generals to start off with. So I like professional officer corps, so it keeps your division experience up. And then for here, again, this is one I almost always go meticulous preparation because I like the logistics for going into Russia. But because Germany has so many leaders with the Panzer leader trait, we do embrace the future. Now that I think about it though, that's 20%. You could do proper heritage, and that's 30% experience for a guy like that. That's pretty good. And then on this one, yeah, we're blitzkrieging. Let's do maneuver warfare. And then for my Navy, I like, again, signals training. It's basically the logistics of the ocean. And then Germany, because we're mainly going to be leaning on convoy raiding, I'll actually do close combat. And then Air Force Command, for this one, you need to put on air projection power. So essentially what that will do is once we've conquered France, we're going to put all our aircraft on this coastline, and we need to get them supremacy here. And then once our troops land, we need them to provide help over here. Now, each plane has a certain range, and you can see if I have a plane with shorter range, like, I guess it was like this one, he has a shorter range. If I put him here, this circle isn't going to encompass the entirety of southern England. So that's where air projection power will help. Maybe I got that wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works. If it's not how it works, let me know in the comments. Is it right? Isn't that it? 10% more range? I don't know. Okay, finally, let's go ahead and start war preparations. Okay, April 12th. I had said I wanted to stay on the historical timeline, so April, 70 days. We could fit in a 70-day focus. Okay, it is June 21st, so if I want to hit that August time, let's go ahead and do Danzig or War. Now, our army is fully trained at this point. As far as my operatives, I got them in the major countries we'll be invading. So Poland is one. I mean, you really don't need it. You're going to clap Poland. But you know what it does is it gets that intel strength, is it's going to help us when we invade. It's going to give a bonus to it. So let's go ahead and spin some of our doctrine. So we'll just max out air as far as we can. I prefer superiority over ace generation because we need that superiority when we cross the channel. For naval, really all we need is convoy interdiction. And then land, we get it so dirt cheap because of all the focuses and advisors. We're going to go down the Blitzkrieg path. And keep in mind, we did this without ever sending volunteers to Spain, which you should totally do because you can do a focus that gets you more army XP. Okay, for the Navy, I think everything's about ripped up. Yeah, wait 5 days for that vessel to finish. Okay. For the Navy, this is the lazy man's tactic. As I mentioned in a previous video, I really don't focus that much on the Navy. I have never really learned how to do it. But this works. So we'll group in all of our Navy, stop them exercising, hold. I'm going to manually send them to this port because it's got 8 docks. They're going to rush over there and they're going to start repairing. Once they finish their repairs, it shouldn't be too much, we will split them off. Now, for the Air Force, here's your air wings. Let's delete them all. And then we have a total of 3, 5, 7 armies. So, I'd like to make my air wings divisible by 7. So there we go. 1,400 small airframes. Let's go ahead and put 1,400 down. And then we will assign 2 to each general. Once they're assigned, go ahead and put them on pilot exercises. Takes super short to get planes ready for war. They'll be level 3 by the time we kick off. Then as with the other ones, so CAS, we can do 7 CAS wings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then last, we built hardly any TAC bombers, but there's a huge stockpile when you start out with. Okay, our Navy's all repaired. So we will go ahead and group everyone into a single task force. We'll merge them. Now that they're merged, we're going to take out all the submarines. You right click it, click all subs, and now they're in their own force. And then we're going to make them their own task force. We will assign donuts onto them. And then for donuts, we'll go ahead and split them up. Yeah, that's good. About 8 in each one. Now, for assigning the zones that he's going to be working in, if you look on a tile, you click on it, it's going to say it's a shallow sea. Well, what does that mean? Shallow sea means your subs are super easy to be seen and are going to get hit very easily. So we don't want donuts raiding anywhere in a shallow sea. So that includes the English Channel, that includes the North Sea, Eastern North Sea. So for that, we're going to be setting him to do raiding right here. You can also ask Spain for docking rights, which will help with your range over here. Okay, for your other fleet, we'll leave them all together. And we'll go ahead and put Raider in charge. And we'll set Raider right here, and he's just going to do naval invasion support. Now, for both of these, so for Donuts, you want to turn on automatic reinforcement and then automatic split off. Why? As these subs get finished being built, they're going to dump into here to our reserve fleet. When one gets sunk, it immediately gets replaced. And then we can do the same for this one. But don't do automatic split off, because if you do automatic split off, like if your destroyers get hurt, they're going to leave your capital ships naked. So just do automatic reinforcement. Last, like I said, why I chose that stack of 75. I need 15 for oil. Why the Soviet Union? Well, because you can see the direction it's going. It's going by land, so I don't have to worry about these being convoy rated. And then for construction, I want 15 designated to make repairs, because if they bomb the railways, we want the logistics. And last small touches before we begin, I like to put a little bit of air bases over here. And these naked tiles where I'm going to be, or sorry, naked, where these empty tiles where I'm going to be pushing. So I like to throw those up there. They'll build pretty quick. And with that, I think we're basically ready to go to war. Okay, we're here. It's August 30th, and Danzig has denied our demands, so we're about to go to war. One last thing before we start, we're going to get the war goal here shortly. Set your motorization priority to high. This, you see how they have this little thing that means low logistic. They can only get 86% of the supplies they need. By motorizing your supply, you extend your supply range. You should have, without changing anything on the initial production, plenty of trucks to do that. The other thing you're wanting to do is on those planes, they don't need to be training anymore. So make sure they're ready to go. So we want air superiority, CAS, Logi bombing. We'll go ahead and do port strikes and naval strikes because we need those. Any British ship we can nick and send to port, the better. And then you can do strategic bombing. A lot of times, I mean, I try to focus on things that are very specific and objective based. So I like to bomb railways because it skews with their supplies. Same with supply hubs. I like to bomb air forces because it knocks how many planes they can have to support themselves with. Now for Poland, they have a few forts, so we'll go ahead and bomb those forts. And then I also like doing dockyards or ports because that's where they are going to repair. And with the British, you can help a lot by taking out the radars, which is historically what Germany should have done. And let's go ahead and get it started. Dave denied our request, so we'll go straight to around Maginot. And then again, we've battle planned this. To recap, we have changed nothing about these divisions. These are the basic divisions that come with the game. We haven't adjusted anything. We haven't adjusted anything about the ships or the planes or anything. And I did this on purpose to show you how easy it can be done with very minimal microwing. So let's do it. One last thing. If you remembered to do your cryptology bonus, use it now. I always forget. All right, let's go ahead and slap some poles. And look at them go. I don't know why your troops never manually go to Danzig, but it's wide open, so why not? And you see that armored spearhead, man, they just get around. We finished researching that 1940 invasion tech, so let's go ahead and build a floating harbor. And that's Poland down. Look at the casualty. 15K to 200K. Very easy. We can shift some of the priorities now. So, Raiders, he's done helping us invade Danzig. We're going to move him now to cover more and switch his task to convoy escort. Another big thing, English channel access, turn it off. If you don't turn it off after we conquer the Dutch, your army is going to try to resupply from these ports. And because our Navy's not as good as the British Navy, they're going to get convoy raided and we're going to have supply issues. So until we finish off France, turn this off. Okay, as far as now where we need to put our troops, let's go ahead. We can dump this entire army over into the Netherlands. Then this single army, we can put them on Luxembourg. And then I'll put one tank division here and the other tank division up in Denmark. You see, I put those factors on because they are bombing, they're logi bombing me, so that prevents that from really affecting my supply. We are seeing a lot of naval battles going on, but right now it's just our submarines, and those can get sunk. I really don't care. Around Maginot finished, let's do operation whatever that is. And our planning's finished. Oh, another thing. As you finish conquering territories, just move your agents around. Even just a little bit of intel you can get helps. And then we will go ahead and take out the Netherlands first. There they go. Netherlands are out. And then I will take this stack, move them to Belgium. We can start battle planning for taking out Belgium, battle planning for taking out Luxembourg, and then the armored units, like I said, you're going to want to spearhead. Okay, Luxembourg down. Now, one thing I like to change on these front lines, you can see the Maginot goes over here to Metz. So we're going to, I don't need this army in separate anymore. Let me throw them on with the Belgian army. And then for our Maginot front, we're going to extend it out to here. And then that's good. All these tiles will be covered, and then I don't have to worry about my pushing army here pushing into the Maginot. The other thing is, speed is of the essence, so we're going to change our battle plans to aggressive. And remember, when we start to push into France, we do now have these campaign instructions. So once we get to that border, we're going to slap down that. Okay, Belgium's done. We need to reorder this front line. And if you need to redo it, you just click on the general and right-click them, and it reassigns them. And you'll go down here. Once you finish that, spearhead to Paris. We basically now, we're going to go ahead and establish Vichy France. Pop up any note now. There it is, establish Vichy. Now a couple things we can do that's going to help. I'm actually, just to make things quick, let's go ahead and we can start doing Sealion now. And you'll see part of it is it's going to help with strategic bombing, invasion penalty, a lot of buffs for that, but it only lasts 180 days, so we got to be quick. So we're going to start that focus. Going to have our troops clean up the remaining one here. We'll put everyone in a single army. We're going to put them on area defense. Over here. And then we're going to take those spies that were left over. Smack them all in Britain. And then we can go ahead in the English channel, we can go from a block to just avoid. Okay. And then we will pick one army, So it's going to be Fedor von Bock. So he'll be doing the work for us here. And we're going to have him do the naval invasion. So we're going to have him go from Le Havre. And then essentially, this is why we researched 1940 invasion technology early, because we're going to be hitting every single port. So just make sure your invasions are restricted to just the English Channel, because you're going to have a hard time getting supremacy in these other ones. You can set them all, then right click, and it will divvy them up evenly. While we wait, might as well take out Denmark. We will protect them. Okay, Sea Lion's done, and because we had that 1940 naval tech and we split it out over so many different naval invasions, we're ready to launch our naval invasion. So, here's what we do now. Under our navy, we're going to go ahead and right there, we're going to take off his invasion orders, or sorry, his escort orders for everywhere but except for the English Channel, and we're putting naval invasion support. Funny enough, we have immediate supremacy, which feels a little cheap. I don't know why the British don't have their navy there. Probably because I didn't have any, but they're going to come back. I could, you know, click the button here, but I'm not going to be that guy because that defeats the purpose of showing you this strat. You're not going to get that lucky every game. So he's going to be there. I will manually move him over. Then for our Air Force, we're going to select everyone. We're going to dump them over here in Nord-de-Pas-de-Calais because that is a huge naval base. We're also going to, on this naval base, we're going to add every single air wing we can. Let all our wings come over. There they are. Oh, stud one attached to a commander. So they're all here. Now what we'll go ahead and do, make sure we have all our missions selected. We basically need to divvy up. We have 3,500 planes here. We need to divvy them up across all these coastal airports. So I can select half and just kind of balance them out. So, okay, we have them all on their orders. Probably don't need the strategic bomb those forts anymore. But we're going to manually tell them all to go to the English Channel. Now, I'm assuming... Have the British really not brought their fleet back? Okay, there they are. Okay, you saw it for a second there, it flashed up. Okay, so it's saying right here, you can see they have... if the AI plays it correctly, you can see they have over twice the size of our Navy. But because of our intel efficiency from doing our task here and having our spies here, and then our air superiority, we have just about as much. So with that, I feel good about go ahead and clicking this button. And then once we get over that 50% hump, we should be good to go. As the British ships get picked off, they're going to go to port to repair. And then, so let's say you were over here, you know, that number will drop as your planes are doing hits on the naval air, or on, sorry, that number of enemy supremacy is going to drop as the AI sends its boats into repair. Now you can see they were distracted because I had my subs out here, so they were doing convoy escort duty, and they didn't even worry about the channel because I had no action going on over there. Worst case scenario, you can't get supremacy. You don't have enough either ship tonnage, or you can't get whatever it may be. If you're really in a bind, call the Italians into the war, because their navy is going to be a big distraction from the British, who are going to move their navy to reinforce their colonies. Okay, let's go. And then now we're off. See, it went from 1900 to 1500. That means we probably injured some boats. Yeah, there's some damage on these. So one of these they might have said, okay, we have urgent repair priority, so we'll go and send them into repair, which is likely what happened. Yeah, there's one naval battle here happening several times. Again, if you remember to use it, there's your cryptology bonus. Pop that thing, and then if you remember to use it again, you have operational planning. Now that the crossing is cleared to go, select all your air wings again, And for the ones that can reach, point them to southern England. So we'll watch the invasions go off, and this is the one part that will need a little bit of microing. There they go. Let me slow down the game a little bit. Okay. As you make landfall, you're going to want to micro. So have one troop attack the port you wanted to get into. Another troop make it an encirclement. And this one, yeah, you can do that port or just push out. And like that, they've landed. This guy is technically encircled. Alright, once you get enough troops in, I might do something like a frontline order at this point. Once you've secured an airport, go and feel free to move in your air wings over there and then assign them to whoever was leading the charge. And then once you also have landfall, switch this over to convoy escort. Boom, look at that encirclement. And just like that, folks, that's how you do it. You can take it all, you can puppet, it doesn't matter. I actually do recommend puppeting France if you establish Vichy, because then you get Vichy as a puppet. And that's it. That's how you do Sealion if you're bad at the game. And then we get... What should you do after this? Really, it's up to you. My recommendation, build up supply in Canada, take out the US while they're still weak, and then once you have all that, go ahead and just clap the Soviets.